Friends, good to see you. Let me know where you're from. I have an idea of what I would like to talk about today. But if you have an idea of what you would like to talk about, or you would like me to talk about something in particular, let me know. I have two questions for you. Do I have two? Do I have three? I have three questions for you, actually. My first question is, where are you from? And if you can put a flag as well as the name of the place where you're from, that would be great. Where are you from? Also, I have another question for you. Not only would I like to know where are you from, oh, I would like to know what languages do you speak? Hello, Fazem. Fazem, I think I know what languages you speak. Is it two other than English? I think it's two. I'm going to write in the chat, where are you from? If you can see it, I think that can be helpful to see. Oh, I can't spell. Where are you from? Okay, so Fazem, you speak Persian, Turkish, and a little Arabic as well. Amazing. I knew the first two. You might have mentioned that you speak a little bit of Arabic, but I couldn't remember that. Here is my next question. What is the weather like where you are? I'm going to write it for you as well. What's the weather like? What's the weather like where you are? I can tell you what the weather is like here. Today it was hot and humid, and then it's cooled off now. It has cooled off a little bit. So it has been hot and humid. I say hot, it got to 30, about 30 degrees Celsius, which is, it feels hotter than that though with the humidity. If it's humid, it usually feels hotter. So I have asked my three questions, but I didn't put them all in the chat. So where are you from? What's the weather like? And what languages do you speak? You did answer that though. What languages do you speak? What languages do you speak? I speak English. I speak Aussie English. Okay, so let me see what the weather's like in Melbourne. Thank you for the update, Fazem. So you said you had a little storm there. Severe and strong wind for half an hour. Severe and strong wind. And now it's sunny. Of course, that's Melbourne weather. Extremes in Melbourne, they call it 4 seasons in one day. 4 seasons in one day. You can go out in the morning. It can be raining, cold, and then by the middle of the day, it can get quite hot. And then by the evening, could be storming, windy, that sort of thing. The only consistency about Melbourne weather is that it's sort of inconsistent, if that makes sense. Is there a particular topic you would like me to talk about today? Because I have an idea. But if you have something you want to talk about, let me know. Yeah, that's actually true. There is a joke, if you live in Melbourne, there's a joke that if you don't like the weather in Melbourne, wait half an hour for it to change. Yeah, so true. Wait half an hour and it'll be different weather. So true. Okay, I have an idea for a topic of conversation. Let me tell you what it is. And in fact, this was not my idea. This was not my idea, but it's a really good one. So the topic is social life in Australia. Social life in Australia. So how people socialize in Australia. That's my topic. Is that something you would like to hear about? So social life in Australia. Okay, let me tell you about how people socialize in Australia. This is, and everyone's different, but there are certain things that you will see time and time again. So I talked a little bit about cafe culture last time we talked, but I also sorry, did I talk about it? I did a little bit. I also have mentioned to you about pub culture. So I've called this a Sunday session. And the reason I've done that is because sometimes on a Sunday, some people might like to go to the pub. And sometimes there's some relaxing music playing, and it's just a chill vibe. So people have a social drink before the start of the week, before going back to work on Monday. I didn't mention about pub culture. What did I say? I think I just talked about the fact that some people like to go to the pub on a Sunday for a quiet drink. So someone might call it a quiet drink or a quiet beverage, or you can say bevy for beverage. Okay, so we definitely have a big cafe culture, and then we also have a big pub culture. So people might say that the pub that they like to go to is their local. So they might go down to their local. And the local is the pub. So you might go down to your local pub. So people will sometimes socialize by going to the pub. And it's not just on a Sunday, it would be possibly every day of the week, but also Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Thursday. It just it depends because some people might be having a quiet drink with friends. Also, people love to have a pub meal. Did I mention a pub meal? A pub meal is it's a meal that you get at the pub, which makes sense, but also it is sometimes they're the same meals. Like you go to different pubs and they will have a chicken schnitzel, and some in different places they will call it different things. So they might call it a chicken schnitty for chicken schnitzel. That is very, very popular in Australian pubs. And people might socialize, have a drink, and socialize, spelt with an S, fazem or a chico roll. So I don't think you would get a chico roll at the pub, but you would get I love chico rolls, but you would get a chico roll at the fish and chip shop. So, which is also a popular place to go. Usually more of a lunchtime thing, but not always. Sometimes for dinner as well. Actually, definitely for dinner, but if you're out and about and you're at the beach, then you might go to the fish and chip shop and get a chico roll. You're right. Where was I going with that? What was I saying before I got distracted by chico roll? So if I went to the pub and I'm socializing, so I'm talking with friends, at some point, someone might buy a bowl of potato wedges. Potato wedges. And they would get them with sour cream and sweet chili sauce. And sometimes they'll put them on the table for everyone to have. So one person decides they're hungry enough that they will buy the potato wedges for everyone. That is just one way that people like to socialize in Australia. Another big way that people love to socialize, sometimes after work, sometimes on the weekend, sometimes before work, is exercise. Meeting people for exercise, different types of exercise, is very popular. So you might meet very early in the morning. You might meet other people to go to the run club. That is a really good place to meet people, at a run club. Some people go to park run, and I think park run is 5 kilometers, 5Ks. And so for people that like to run, that is a good way to get in some exercise, and then people sometimes will chat before or after the run, and that can be a good way to meet people. I have known people that really enjoy doing indoor soccer, especially in the winter months. Actually, also in the summer months, I realize. But I just remember doing it in the winter months, especially. And that can be a really nice social way to get to know people. And there are plenty of other things. Sometimes people will do indoor cricket. By the way, if people come into the chat, feel free to let me know where you are from. Say hi in the chat if you haven't already. And yeah, let me know where you're from. I would love to know. Depending on where you are, some people also love to play tennis. Tennis is a really good social sport. If you play tennis as a team, then it's quite good because you've got two people on the court, and then you've got two people off the court. And those people that are sitting off the court will often just sit and chat, and it's quite social. So you can definitely meet different people because it's not just the people in your team, it's the people from other teams, and you can sit and have a chat. We also say you can have a yarn. Have a yarn. That means to have a chat. A yarn is a chat. If you have a yarn, you are just chatting and having a nice time. Hello, everyone that's come in. Feel free to write something in the chat. Say hi. I can see your question. Let me answer your question. What is your favorite sport? And what sports do most Aussies like? Good question. I feel like the big ones that people like to watch. I love to watch the Australian Open when the Australian Open is on in Melbourne, actually, and it's on in January. Yeah, it's in January. Is the Australian Open tennis. You'll see signage for, they just say AO for Australian Open. That's their, what do you call it? Like their logo, the Australian Open tennis. That's worthwhile, I think, if you can go to it. That's really good fun. Or just watch it on the TV. It's great. I love watching the tennis. And I prefer to watch the men's tennis. Sometimes the women's, but I really enjoy watching the men's tennis. Yes, the Australian Open is followed by many people around the world. It is, what do they say? It's one of the slams. It's one of the grand slams. So just like with Wimbledon, the US Open, what's the one in France called? I'm forgetting. Roland Garros. Can't remember what else there is. What's the one in Spain? Yeah, so anyway, the tennis is good fun. And as well as that, rugby and AFL are big in Australia. So if you're in Melbourne, AFL, Aussie Rules Football, that's the sport. But then there's also cricket. Cricket's a big deal. People like to watch the cricket, people like to go to the cricket. So the cricket is one that people enjoy in the summer. A lot of people play cricket too. And you will see people, yeah, Roland Garros is in France. Yep. So you will see people doing cricket on the beach or in the park. So, and sometimes in the backyard. So we call it backyard cricket, beach cricket. I feel like park cricket doesn't have the same ring, but that is, those are the big ones. And rugby. So if you're in Queensland, for example, rugby's pretty big up there. So if you're in Brisbane, you can call it Brizzy. If you're in Brizzy, then rugby's a big deal. So we've talked about run clubs. We've talked about other places that you can go to meet people, either by playing the sport or by watching the sport? Does anyone have any questions at this point? Feel free to put it in the chat. Yes, footy. So people might say, I'm going to footy training. Going to footy training. You call it footy. What else can I tell you about? If I was at work, and depending on the day, then someone at work might say, hey, we're going for after work drinks. Do you want to come? After work drinks. After work drinks. So that will likely be at a pub, or it might be at a bar, depending on where you live and what sort of places are around. But that can be quite a nice, relaxing thing to do with people from work. Sometimes I find, though, by the time I finish work, if after work drinks are happening, sometimes I think I feel too tired. But for some people, it's a nice, relaxing thing to go to the pub, have a quiet drink, and hopefully you have a designated driver, a designated driver. That means that you don't drink and drive. So get home in a different way. Don't drive if you've been drinking. Fazem, teachers never drink. Well, I mean, I don't drink very often. I think teachers do like a quiet drink at the end of the day. It's not so much for me. Can you see the sun's coming out now? Before it looked like it might rain actually. The clouds were getting very dark and it looked like it was going to rain. And now the sun's going away again. Yes, some teachers would enjoy having a quiet drink after work, I'm sure. It can be quite a stressful job, but it's rewarding. What else can I tell you about? You know, another person that you might get to know in Australia are your neighbours. Now, in different places around the world, it might be more likely or less likely to get to know your neighbours. Hi, Neptune, how are you? Good to see you. We're talking about socializing and how to meet people in Australia, how people socialize. So, if I see my neighbours, I like to say hello to them and I like to just ask them how they're going. I can ask them questions like, how's your new job going? How's the new what's it doing? Sorry. My computer is concerned. Okay. How's the new job going? How's the new job going? That's a question I could ask my neighbor. And they could tell me about their new job. It's very interesting to hear about people's work. I find it interesting. I like to know what people do, if they enjoy it. Speaking of which, if you would like to, in the comments, tell me, what job do you have? You don't have to if you don't want to. The questions I asked before, for anyone who's come in after the live stream has started, I asked you, what is the weather like where you are? Where are you from? And what languages do you speak? And now What do you do for work? What do you do for work? That's so cool, Neptune. Do you work for yourself? You're a programmer. Or is it like freelancing stuff? No. So you work for someone else. Yeah, working remote. That's interesting. What an interesting thing to do. By the way, I love it how, um, people can put hearts and 100% and smiley faces in the chat because I can see it on my side. It's really good fun. Um, oh, Neptune, do you really? What's your channel about, Neptune? Do you know I can click the hearts too and the 100%s? That's weird. Why can I do it? Oh, okay, Neptune. So you wanna have a faceless channel, so no one can see who you are. I mean, you could. That's really cool, music covers. So you, play music that it's other people's music, but you play it. Okay. What sort of music do you play, Neptune? Mm, yep. You gotta start somewhere, Neptune. 89 subscribers, you gotta start somewhere. After this, I'm making dinner, and then after that, I'll go and look up your channel. I think I did briefly, but I didn't stick around. I think I got distracted, so I'll have to go back and have a look. Hello, everyone that is here. Feel free to write in the chat where you are watching from. I would love to know where you're watching from. Neptune, what's your instrument? Do you sing? I love singing. I find it so much fun. Yeah, LA. You're in LA. By the way, um, here is here is something I really like, but I don't like this flavor. Um, Burt's Bees lip balm, lip stuff, and then this one is the original. I think it's the original. It says vitamin E and peppermint, so it's got like sort of a like a hot feeling. Neptune, you're from the Philippines originally. That's cool. Huh. I've met a lot of different Filipinos in different places. I've met people in Darwin. I think I talked about this actually. In Darwin in the Northern Territory. I can't write. In Darwin, there's a big Filipino community. Is there anything else you'd like me to talk about, everybody? I'm trying to think. There is one other thing I will add to what I was saying before about socializing and how to meet people in Australia. Oh, okay, Fazam. You think there's a big population of Iranian people living in LA. There's also a population of Iranian people living in Toronto in Canada. I don't know how big the community is, but there's quite a lot of people there. Yeah. Aussie culture. Well, that's actually one of the things that I think that we can talk about Aussie English and people can learn from me the way I speak, but also Aussie culture, I find it interesting to learn about other people's cultures. That's interesting. I don't know LA very well, actually, Neptune. I've been there, but very, very briefly. Where else are people from? We've got the United States represented, also Philippines, um, Iran. Is that the case, Neptune, in LA? The person who's the mayor. I say mayor, the mayor. There's different. I think there's actually different ways to pronounce that. Really interesting. If you are able to see the chat, I will try to remember to say what I'm reading in the chat. Um, People in the chat are saying that there is a large Iranian population in LA in the United States, Los Angeles. If you are here and you don't want to write in the chat, feel free to either hit the heart button or there's different buttons you can press. So if you don't want to chat and to write, that's absolutely fine. I love those hearts. I find it fun. Thanks, everyone. So great. Okay, so I did say that these lives, yeah, I love to hear people successful, doing really well. That's so great. These lives, I'm thinking, will go for, I mean, any period of time is fine. They could go for 30 minutes, they could go longer. It just depends if you have different things you would like me to talk about. Also, if you watch this later, so not when it is live, but if you watch it later, then feel free to write in the comment section because you will be able to see this video after after it's gone live. Hi Ganesh, how are you? It is almost into my evening now. It's funny at this time of year, you could say, you almost could say afternoon. However, once it sort of gets past 5 o'clock, then it becomes the evening. But because we have daylight saving, it's light, especially in the middle of the summer. It can be light until like 9:30 at night. Depends where you are. But not everywhere has. Hang on a second. My computer wants to do a full scan. No, thank you. Delay full scan for 24 hours. Don't do it now. What was I saying? What was I saying? Anyway, not everywhere has daylight savings. Queensland, I think, never has daylight savings. So there's a chunk of the year where New South Wales and Queensland, they share a border. They are not the same time zone, which doesn't make much sense. Good question, Fazam. I think you are asking Ganesh where Ganesh is from. Let me just check the chat. Ganesh, can you tell us where are you from? I cannot remember exactly where you are from, but I'm sure you've told me. I think it's India, right? But where in India? Yeah, Fazem. My computer is choosing the best time to do a scan. No, thank you. Not right now. Neptune, 11 hours. Oh, do you mean that the live stream should go 11 hours? Um, for people who don't know, um, we know someone who I know people do lives for really long periods of time. I don't know how they do it. We know someone that did a Zoom call for 11 plus hours. Is that right? Or was it even longer? Now I'm getting confused. Or actually, there might have been two different Zoom calls that were very, very long. Yeah, I think one was like, was it over 24 hours? And then Zoom just cut out. I think that's what happened. That's a good question. Do you have pets? I was thinking about pets actually for a couple of reasons. That's a really good question. Do you have pets? I saw the most adorable dog, and I thought this dog was a Japanese dog because some of those dogs that they have in Japan are really fluffy and they have like a lot of fur and they're beautiful, beautiful dogs. This particular dog, though, it was not Japanese. I asked the owner, and the owner said that the dog was a Finnish lap hound, a hund, and it was a beautiful dog. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous dog. Um, I do not have pets right now. I do not have pets. By the way, let me know. I just have one of these in, so if the sound quality is not good at any point, just let me know. I don't have pets, but yeah, it is a good question. Um, but I would love to get a dog at some point. I don't know if I ever will. I would love to get a dog, like a really cute little fluffy dog, but a dog that doesn't bark too much, not a yappy dog. If a dog barks a lot, we can say it's a yappy dog, especially the little ones, not the big dogs. The big dogs have like a really big bark, but the little ones, if they're barking, they can be quite annoying. So I would need a quiet dog if I got a dog. So I haven't really had a dog before. It's a long story. We had a dog very, very briefly when we were little. The dog, let me say it like this, the dog didn't last long. There was a tragic ending to the poor dog. So, and we never got another dog. I think we were traumatized. So, but we did have sheep. We had sheep. They were lambs when we got them. So, baby sheep are lambs. Also, sheep is both the singular version and the plural. So, I could say one sheep, two sheep. Don't put an S on it. I had baby lambs and they were so beautiful. Yes, they were fluffy and so huggable. What can I tell you about the lambs? We had to feed them with bottles, just like you would feed little babies. Yeah, we did have lots of space for them. We had lots of space, and When they were very small, we had them in a pen, and the pen, I don't know how many meters it was, but it was like a sort of big area for them to walk around, but it was a nice, space for them to be safe because we had foxes. We had foxes in the area, so the foxes are introduced. They're an introduced species in Australia. Um, so we call them feral animals. They're feral if they've been brought from overseas. So the sheep that we had, the lambs, they one of them in particular, we think that that sheep thought it was a human. Yeah, feral. A feral animal. A feral animal is an introduced species. It's an introduced species. That's what we call them here. I think in other places they don't. Neptune. In other places, I don't know if they call them feral animals. I think they have another word for them. I can't remember now. But in Australia, we would say they're a feral animal. We also use that word in other ways too. What else can I tell you about? We had pet birds at one point. The birds were lovely. Excuse me, I'm typing something. Mm, okay, I've got something for you. I needed an example of something. So if I was to use the word feral, and I'm not talking about an animal, in Aussie English, let's say if I was, here's an example. If I was talking about a party and the party got out of control, I could say that party last night got feral. It got feral, meaning it got out of control or it got crazy. If my car is dirty, I could say, instead of saying it's dirty, I could say, my car is absolutely feral. I need to give it a wash. So we use feral for different things. Yep, that's a good one. Good Aussie slang. What kind of birds? We had zebra finches. And at one point we had a budgie as well. So we had zebra finches are beautiful. Yeah, and the word feral, um, it can also be like an insult. So you have to be careful how you use it. But people will also use it in a joking way. Like people might use it with their friends and they're just trying to stir each other up. Do they sing? Do the birds sing? Yeah, they did actually. They were quite sweet, the zebra finches. And the budgie must have sung as well, but I just can't remember so much. It was ages ago. Ages ago. I love birds though. Oh, I did not. I've never had a bird that repeats what you say. I think you can get cockatoos. You can train cockatoos to do that. And I'm not sure about other parrots, possibly other parrots. Yeah, you must be able to. But cockatoos, which are beautiful birds, I'll tell you a bird to look out for. If you're in Australia, I'm trying to think where they are. They're around where I am, but there are other places that they must be as well. I just don't know if they are in Melbourne and that area. I'm not sure. The black cockatoo. The black cockatoo, it's actually quite a big bird, and there's a black cockatoo that has white on it, and there's a black cockatoo that has yellow on it. And those birds, they're really quite big. They have the most beautiful squawk. So the noise that they squawk, and so they're quite distinct when you hear them, and they often fly together. They're beautiful birds. If you can ever see a black cockatoo, they are gorgeous. Um, Let me check the chat. Ganesh, do you like teaching in a primary school or a secondary school? I teach in primary schools, and I have taught children up to year eight. So in Australia, we would say year eight. In Canada, they would say grade eight. And Neptune, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. Would you say the eighth grade? The eighth grade? Tell me if I'm right with that. So I have taught children as old as year eight, but I really love teaching the little kids. The little kids are the kids I love teaching. They're super cute. Yeah, Farzam, you saw the white cockatoos. The white cockatoos are more common. There's also a bird that looks similar to a white cockatoo, and I think it's called a cockatiel. Cockatiel. They look similar to cockatoos, but they're not the same. And then you know the galah. The galah has the pink and grey on it. Yeah, Neptune, you're saying eighth grade. So in the States, you would say the eighth grade. Whereas in Canada, they say grade eight. And here in Australia, I would say year eight. Yep. Awesome. Feel free to, if you are watching and you don't want to write in the chat, that's absolutely fine. But feel free to hit the heart button only because it's so much fun if you want to. Any questions or comments, you guys? We might chat for another 10 minutes. Of course, if you have to go, it's always great to see you guys. Thanks for coming in, but maybe we'll talk for another 10 minutes. I think I need to get a mug, a cup that is not Christmassy. Although it's not too far until Christmas, and then this cup will actually make sense. Any questions, comments, or thoughts? Let me know. If you haven't told me already, please let me know where you're from. I would love to know. Ganesh, am I right? Are you in India? Did I miss anything in the chat? Neptune, really good question. Can you say "G'day, mate" to a male or female? Yes, you can. So if someone said to me, "G'day, mate," that's absolutely perfect. Male, female, it doesn't matter. You can say "G'day," and you can call someone a mate, whether they are male or female. And also, you can describe someone as a certain type of mate. So you can say about a little kid, you can say little mate, little mate. Oh, it's not writing. Little mate. Yes, Neptune. You can say crikey, and then you can put mate on that. Crikey, mate. You can, if it makes sense in your conversation. You also can just say crikey. Crikey sort of means like gee whiz, golly gosh, oh dear, depending on the context. Do you mean what crikey means? Crikey can also be like if someone tells you a great story or something like amazing happens, you can go crikey. Crikey is a great word. You also could call someone old mate if they're an older person, old mate. So I reckon we've got about 8 more minutes and we might wrap this up unless people have anything in particular that they want to tell me about. I am reading in the chat. What does it say? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying, Neptune. Um, it's interesting. So the question is, if there was a tourist and the tourist is using Aussie slang, um, how would I feel about that, or how would I find that? What would I think of that? Um, it depends. Like if someone sort of says, "G'day, mate," but they sort of mean it like as if to say, "I know your lingo. I know how to speak like an Australian," then sometimes that can come off as a bit weird and it can feel a bit jarring. But if you are just genuinely saying it to mean hello, like "G'day, how's it going?" Um, then I suppose some people do it like what's his name? Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. Sometimes people will do it with that sort of intensity, but not everyone will talk with that sort of intensity. So if you just say "G'day," and did you notice the head nod? There's often a head nod, like it's one of these. "G'day, how's it going? Good to see you." There's like a what would you call it? It's like a percussion beat with the words. Good question. So Neptune, when you visit Australia, you can um, you can absolutely say "g'day" to people. Um, you can absolutely do it. Just maybe don't try to sound like the crocodile hunter. No, no, yeah, Neptune, good question. So the question, if you call someone mate, are they actually your friend? Are they actually like someone that you really know? Um, and also depending on how they're feeling, I suppose. The thing is, any person in Australia can call someone else a mate, and actually that's a really good topic. We call it mateship. That is, how would I say it? It's an important value that we have in Australia, mateship. So it's that concept of like we're all mates here, we're all friends, and we're all going to get along. And how do I explain it? It's not. It's not like There's this thing called. I'll write it for you. Toxic positivity. That's not at all what it is. Toxic positivity is like everything's great all the time. Everything is not great all the time. You don't have to like, things don't have to be great all the time. But to be an Aussie, a lot of the time we just go along with things, get along. Sure, if there's a problem, we should, and most of the time, we will say so if there's a problem. But most of the time, we get along, and therefore we're all mates. So you can meet someone at the shop, and you can say, "G'day, mate. How's it going?" And you've never met that person before, and you might never see them again. It doesn't matter. You can still call them a mate. Does that make sense? Yeah, the crocodile hunter. He was a big deal. Lots of people knew him. And I do like his like positive way of doing things. That had a big impact on people, I think. And he was very positive. Um, Let me look at what I've missed in the chat. Fazem, I just don't know what you were saying. You said, I think Aussies never say this. Oh, I think you mean what Neptune was saying. So, like, no one would say, I'm not your mate. I mean, unless someone was in like a terrible mood, maybe. Let me see what else I've missed. Yeah, Aussies are pretty open to different people, and a lot of us have traveled as well. So we've gone overseas, we've met different people. Um, we're really interested in different people's cultures. Um, yeah, multiculturalism, that's an interesting one to talk about. It's a big word, multiculturalism. What else have I missed? If you have any more questions, anyone, put it in the chat now because we might wrap this up soon. Um, yeah, and that's why this is nice actually. It's nice because people can just ask about Australia. I'll tell you things from my perspective, and then you can get to know a little bit about Australia. Yes, Ganesh. A lot of Aussies love to go to Bali in Indonesia. Um, and yes, we love sunny weather. We love beach holidays. We really do love going to Bali. Bali's a place that a lot of Aussies go. You're saying Australia has good wine? Yeah, I think we do have good wine actually. We've got some really lovely wineries and wine regions. Yeah, Neptune, that's actually pretty accurate. Bali is Australia's Hawaii. It's quite accurate. Except Hawaii is a part of the States. So you don't leave America to go over the sea, if that if that makes sense. But whereas we go internationally. What did I just see in the chat that I wanted to get back to? I just missed something. Oh yeah, this is a good question. So, Farzam, you might be able to answer this from the perspective of someone who's new. Um, do Aussies smile at strangers, and is that a common thing? Do Aussies smile? Like, if I don't know you, will I just smile at you if I see you in the shops down the street? Um, I will also answer that. There was something I was just going to ask. So, Neptune, I have a question. Um, would you say that Americans are very good at that, at smiling at strangers and being polite? to people that they haven't met before? I would say yes, but I would also say, I don't know if this is correct. Perhaps it's more formal language when they don't know each other. Maybe that's not right. Maybe they're because we are quite informal the way we speak. I wanted to check the chat. I'm sorry if it looks like I'm always looking down here. It's because that's where I see the chat, but my camera is up there. And yes, I would say, let me have a look. Yeah, we do smile at people when we see people that we don't know, and we'll say hello, especially in the country areas. If you're in more of a country area in Australia, people will say hello, and people will be ready to stop for a chat. In the city as well, but it's just a little bit different, just a bit of a different feeling. Oh, okay, Neptune, in small towns in America, I think you're saying people are smart, like smile and are friendly, more so than in the cities. And I think that that's absolutely the case in Australia. Yes, so Hawaii is your paradise escape. I haven't been to Hawaii yet. It's on my list of places I want to go. Okay. I don't think I've missed anything in the chat, you guys. Is there We're just over an hour. Is there anything else you'd like to ask me about? We talked a little bit about socializing, meeting people in Australia. Good question, Ganesh. Let me look. Okay. The question is, do Aussies like to eat Chinese food, Korean food, Egyptian food, Turkish food, Malaysian food, Thai food, and Indian food? Of those, my favorite is probably Thai, Indian, and hmm, maybe Turkish. So we and I haven't really gone for Korean food very much, but I hear that you can go for Korean barbecue. Um, Neptune, that's really interesting. That word, like you're saying, ethnic food. In Australia, we don't really call it that. Um, we might say international cuisine, actually, might be something that we would say. So, yes, Ganesh, we have all of that food in Australia. We have so many people that have come from different places around the world, and they have brought their cuisine, their food to Australia. And um, and we're very lucky. I feel as though I'm just trying to think. I don't think that there must be something. There's not really anything I can think of off the top of my head that is not represented. If you wanted to go for Japanese, if you want to go for all sorts of different types of food, if you're in the city, you should be able to find it. Yeah, whatever type of food you want to have, you'll be able to find it in Australia. Not in the small towns. In a small town, depending on how big it is, you can have the fish and chip shop, you can have a pizza shop. What else might you have in a small town? If it's big enough, there might be a takeaway place, and I mean like, the big franchises, McDonald's, KFC, that sort of thing. We also have Hungry Jack's. Hungry Jack's is Burger King. So we don't have Burger King here. I think you might have it in the city, but if you see I should take a photo for you. Hungry Jack's is our Burger King. Yeah, I haven't been for Korean barbecue. I should go somewhere, find a Korean barbecue place. You're welcome, Ganesh, no problem. Alright, everybody, thank you so much for joining. As always, it has been lovely to have your company. Um, yeah, it's been really nice chatting with you in the chat. If you watch this after it is live, feel free to write something in the comment section and I will do my best to get back to you. I usually get back to people, but I have noticed sometimes I don't see some comments and I don't know why I don't see it. Neptune, is it the morning for you? What time is it for you? You're welcome, Fazem. Great to have a chat. Thanks for coming. It's midnight. Okay, so it's your bedtime. Am I right? Yeah, it's time for me to go and make dinner, actually. It's dinner time here. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming, everybody. And I will talk to you again soon. Bye, Ganesh. Bye, Neptune. Bye, Fazem. Bye, everyone else that didn't say hi in the chat, but you're all still amazing. Bye.